Hey everyone, it's Marcello here at Maple Toyota at the Toyota World YouTube channel, and we're going to review the 2024 Grand Toyota Highlander Hybrid. This is a limited grade just ahead in this video. All right everyone, let's jump right into it. So this is the Grand Highlander limited grade. We're going to talk about the overall size, the differences from this to a non-Grand in terms of sizing. This is the hybrid equivalent. It's in the Storm Cloud color, which is kind of like a coastal gray mixed with a little bit of cement gray and celestite. It's kind of all of those three colors in one. It's definitely something new to the Toyota lineup. What do you guys think of it? When you're going with the limited grade, you get these beautiful 20-inch unique alloy wheels. Kind of have a little bit of a smoked gunmetal finish to them. Not quite silver, not quite gray. I love the subtleness of the Grand Highlander here, embedded underneath the taillight assembly. Very clean. All right, let's talk about pricing. So MSRP of this beauty in front of us, Canadian, is $61,190. And of course, that's plus your freight, PDI, and your taxes. If you want to spend about another $4,260 plus taxes, you get yourself the Hybrid Max Platinum, which is your top grade Grand Highlander. Or if you want to spend about $7,400 less, you can get yourself the Grand Highlander Hybrid XLE. But I feel like the limited hits a sweet spot in terms of features and options. You're gonna learn that just ahead. Before we get any further to standard features and equipment of this Grand Highlander Hybrid, let's talk about overall size difference when comparing the Grand versus the non-Grand. So mainly, the largest differences are on the trunk cargo area, of course, with the third row up, and in the actual third row itself, you've got plenty more room. I'm going to tell you exactly how much more room you have. So compared to the non-Grand, you have about 50 millimeters more space in the trunk cargo area of this vehicle. And talking about the third row, you've got about 100 millimeters more space in the third row, and you can actually really feel and see that. You've got a nice gap there between the back of the second row and the start of the third row. You've got a nice gap there, so it's about 100 millimeters more in the third row and about 50 millimeters more in the trunk area. That definitely comes in handy. And that's not all. You actually have about 50 millimeters more headroom on the Grand Highlander versus the non-Grand, and overall length difference from wheelbase to wheelbase is about 165 millimeters. That's how much longer the Grand Highlander wheelbase is versus the non-Grand, 165 millimeters. Now the vehicle is also about 60 millimeters wider. So that's right, it's 60 millimeters more wide or wider than the non-Grand Highlander. And again, more space, why not? Okay, taking a look at the interior, I mentioned in one of my first videos of the Grand Highlander that this is very different than a regular non-Grand Highlander in terms of styling, finishes, and so on. And everything seems a lot larger on the interior, which I'll show you in a second. But they definitely did share the same seating upholstery or configuration from the non-Grand to the Grand. This is a perforated leather seat, and it has the ventilated and heated, which I'll get to in a second. But everything is quite different on the interior and the exterior. Okay, so now that we're on the interior of this beautiful 2024 Grand Highlander Limited, this is the hybrid like I mentioned. Let's take a look at some of the key characteristics that make this vehicle so luxurious and so different from the non-Grand Highlanders. So take a look at this beautifully finished, kind of like a wood grain trim here. I'm not sure if you can capture the color, but it's kind of like a smoked gray, little bit of a hint of brown in the finish, and it's very, very nice. And it follows throughout the entire center dash here. You've got a beautifully styled, pretty much frameless 12.3-inch touch screen with optically bonded glass. For those of you who don't know, basically what that means is there's glass bonded to the actual multi-information display system here, or multimedia system, I should say, that just makes it a lot more appealing and a lot more high resolution to the eyes. It really brings out the clarity in what's being portrayed here to the screen. And yes, you can definitely see that. It is super crisp and super clear here. This does have the latest multimedia, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, cloud-based navigation. A lot of very useful features to have here on this 24 Grand Highlander. And yes, it does come with the JBL sound system when you go for the Limited. And here in front of us, you've got a completely digital odometer, speedometer, battery hybrid indicator, gauge, and cluster. You can toggle through a lot of your customizations and settings on the vehicle. You can go over and take a look at a glance at, your hybrid system. You can go to your trip timer and set and reset that. You can toggle through a lot of your Toyota Safety Sense features as well, in case you wanted to, customize any of that. Turn off maybe your blind spot monitoring system or whatever it might be, or your lane trace or lane departure assist. Really cool and convenient to have this all in the digital format. And this is standard with the limited grade 24 Grand Highlander. Okay, as I mentioned earlier in this video, a lot of the size difference from the Grand Highlander to the non-Grand Highlander is brought out in the third row and in the cargo trunk area when comparing against the non-Grand. But I gotta say, when you sit in the vehicle, everything seems pretty large and oversized when comparing to the non-Grand Highlander. For example, check it out. So I am currently driving a 2023 Highlander Limited hybrid, and it's obviously the non-Grand. It's a 23 model, but this is definitely a lot larger and somewhere in the realm of like the Sequoia when you're talking about space and overall size of your center console here. You've got a lot of room for storage here. You've got a lot of room for cup holders and, cups. You've got your wireless phone charger here. You've got your USB. You've got two actual USB ports here. This is for your 360 view camera or monitor. And similar to the Toyota Venzas, you've got the push button start over to the right, which is actually almost identical to that of the Venza. Typically, our push button starts are somewhere around here next to the steering wheel. So a little bit of a mind adjustment when you're going to press the power start button to get going in your 24 Grand Highlander. And furthermore, check out these compartments here. First of all, before I get to the compartments, you got a bunch of different driving modes, which are really nice and easy and convenient to get to. For the most part, you rest your arm or your hand somewhere here close to your shifter. You've got your traction control. You've got your normal driving mode, your sport, your eco. If you're doing a little bit of off-roading, you can hit the trail mode here. You've got your downhill assist. You've got your EV mode. But then, like I mentioned, check out the oversized center compartment here. And it does have, yes, a removable tray in case you wanted anything to sit up at the top here. But let me get down in there and you guys can take a full look. It's very deep, very wide. Definitely oversized when comparing to that of a non-Grand Toyota Highlander hybrid or gas. Something I was a little bit surprised about, and I didn't really notice until I started looking at the vehicle specifications a while back when we got them on the Grand Highlander, is that if you go with the XLE hybrid or non-hybrid, you actually don't get a sunroof. So you have to go to at least the limited grade to get this beautiful panoramic sunroof. And it wouldn't be a limited grade, of course, without the driver 2-position memory seat function. Something really cool and convenient about these particular head units and multimedia systems that are in the 24 Grand Highlanders is that it has the dual Bluetooth pairing capability. So you can actually have 2 Bluetooth or 2 devices connected to this vehicle. So you don't have to actually, disconnect or turn off your Bluetooth if you're in the vehicle with someone else who wants to be connected. Really convenient to have on these Grand Highlanders. Check this out. It does actually have these smart key touch sensors on the front and the rear of this vehicle on the limited grade, which is really cool and convenient. Very large space under the hood. If you're going with the non-platinum grade, you get a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder hybrid. When you're going with the platinum, you get the hybrid max, which is a 2.4 liter turbo, of course. Now this non-max hybrid system, it puts out about 243 horsepower, and it can tow up to 3,500 pounds. When you're going with the hybrid max, you're actually getting up to 5,000 pound towing capacity, and you gain about 119 horsepower. That's right. So that's a total of about 362 horsepower, and you're also upgraded on the torque as well to about 400 pound-foot of torque on the Platinum Hybrid Max. As per fuel consumption, it's about a 65 liter gas tank, which gives you about 7 liters per 100 kilometers combined on the city and highway. That translates to about 40 miles per gallon, which isn't too bad for a vehicle of this size. I'm pretty impressed. And before I forget, this is a 7-passenger configuration when you're going with the limited and the platinum. So if you want an 8-passenger, which will be a bench in the center, you'll have to go with the XLE. On the limited here, and I believe the platinum, you do have a removable center cup holder storage area, which when removed just makes it a lot more easier for passengers to get in and out of the third row from the middle row. So that's me sitting in the front of the vehicle extremely comfortably. Mind you, a little bit more on the lounge side. I've got it pretty reclined here. I'm almost 6'3", plenty of space here for the middle row. And then as you can see here, with 100 millimeters more space in the third row, it's quite easy to get in and out of the back seat. And once you're there, it's quite comfortable, especially with the added headroom here when compared to the non-Grand. Speaking of Grand, check out the size of these cup holders here in the third row for both driver side and passenger side. And yes, there are 2 USB charging ports here in the third row, one on this driver side, and of course, one in the corner there on the passenger side as well. So you've pretty much got no sign of a tailpipe anywhere, which is really clean looking. And just in case you didn't know, this is what the key looks like, the key fob. It does say Grand Highlander there. Something similar to the style and size of a Sienna key fob. And yes, with the limited grade, you actually do have the rear kick sensor. Wow, got it on the first attempt. I am getting good at this. Definitely a larger SUV than the non-Grand. The question is, do you need the extra space? Do you like the different styling, the different approach that Toyota has taken with the Grand, or would you rather go with the non-Grand? Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. We'll catch you in the next review. Take care.